Alright. You already know what time it is. Check this out. This is the 41st video, right? So I've already went through 40 videos, basically breaking down a lot of things from a very wide variety of topics, from lucid dreaming to so-called lucid dreaming, so-called astral travel, all these things. Why so-called? You already know the answer to that. If you don't, I say so-called. I won't always say that, but I like to say so-called because those are just new age titles to identify something with, but it's not really the official name because it has no name. It's just something that is, and people coin things and suddenly that's what it is. Lucid dreaming. People have been doing that forever. People who believe they're people anyway, but that's another story. Check this out, man. All y'all out there, I miss a lot of y'all. I've been getting some cool emails from people. I haven't responded to anybody recently because I've kind of been on my own. You know me, I've been on a journey. But yeah, I appreciate everybody who's been sending me love and hitting me up. But after those 40 videos, I feel I went through a lot of stuff already. I explained as much as possible a lot of things and tried to break a lot of things down as much as possible. But it's time to amp it up a bit and get into, still touching on the same things, but it's just time to take it to the next level, man, because there's only so much I can say. The rest has to be done by you. You have to initiate your own journey. There's no initiation rights to anything, and there's no authority except your own self. You are the authority. There's no other power that you have to look up to. And as far as God goes, all that is, well, we are simply a physical manifestation of all that is, and our souls at the same time, simultaneously. So it's a whole, it's complicated. But we already understand it, so it doesn't really, I'm not saying it's complicated that you can't comprehend it. It's just more complicated than what people try to break it down to be. But yeah, let's get to business, man. Alright. Got my iPad over here because I jotted a few things down that I want to cover. Because you know me, once I get going, I start forgetting stuff, and I don't want to forget nothing. Which I probably will forget something anyway. But yeah, first I want to kick off. So yeah, what was the purpose of all those 40 videos? The real purpose, now I got to tell you the real reason. Why have I been making all those videos and everything? Why did I even kick off this process of making videos? Who am I? Nobody needs to know that. I'm nobody. And I am everything that you could possibly imagine and more. So don't worry about my background or where I'm coming from, because I'm just trying to worry about you getting back to where you come from. And as far as backgrounds, man, if you really understand the deep levels of what's going on here in this physical reality, you realize that you have an infinite number of backgrounds, man. That's why I say racism is stupid. Racism is... There's no such thing as racism, man. It's a joke. Because actually, you belong to every so-called race. We exist simultaneously through so many other realities and probabilities. So I think when people think of probabilities, they think in terms of like, all right, well, in this probability, let's just say, for example, if somebody was, I don't know, white or black, or, these silly terms, man. I'm going to get on that in a minute, too. But anyway, let's say somebody decided that they're whatever they believe they are in this place. I'm going to use a title for now. Let's say somebody's Chinese for some reason. And in their reality, that's what they are. And being Chinese, they hate another particular group, whatever so-called racial group it is. But that person doesn't realize that if they think, even if they understand the terms of probabilities, they're thinking in terms of, okay, in this probability, I'm Chinese. And then there's another probability where, just say, for example, I'm not a student, I'm a doctor in this other life, right? So in this other life, they're still thinking, yeah, in that other probability, I'm Chinese. But you see, the soul is more complicated than that, man. We are more complicated than that. So we don't, in our true nature, we want to experiment and experience as much as possible. So we manifest ourselves into all categories. So, I could be black in one reality, and then in another probability, I could have been born white. And in another probability that has the same thing, I could have been born a woman. So there's so many things. That's why it doesn't pay to be sexist or racist, because somewhere, if you're white, you're black somewhere else. If you're Indian in one place, you're Chinese in another. If you're Japanese in one, you're Korean in another. And we also have counterparts to ourselves that are manifesting also, that are a part of the same entity. So you could have another portion of yourself that's also manifest within the same reality, within the same moment point, in another part of the world, and that's a portion of you. You might come across that person and that individual and hate on them because of their so-called nationality, and you could be possibly hating on a portion of yourself. So that's why you say when you kill someone, you're only killing yourself. Yeah, that's why there should be no murder, because you could be murdering a portion of your own entity that has also manifested itself within physical reality, and you're not even realizing it, man. So let me see, man. All this stuff about race, I've been gone for a minute. I haven't made any videos in a minute, and it's because I've been on some real deep shit traveling, man. I'm talking like just beyond, the unknown. And when you get to this level, there's no levels, but when you get to this moment point where you get to this type of experience, where you start to begin to have these experiences and travel at the rate that I'm traveling at, so many things start to become trivial, man. And it's like you start to see life from a completely different perspective, because you just understand that a lot of things. You don't know everything, because there's no such thing as omnipotence, first of all. A lot of people want to talk about omnipotent and who's omnipotent, is God. Even all that is not omnipotent. Because omnipotent means perfection. To have perfection, that would mean to perfect something, to end it. And if you end something, then there's no growth. So perfection and omnipotence simply means stagnation and the prevention of growth, of growing any further to experience anything. So all that had to surprise itself. And this is why it gives its creations the power of free will and the power to create, because that's the only way that anything would happen, is through the power of creation, creating new things. Regardless of whether people want to put some morals on it and call it good or bad or negative and all these things, they're all just different perspectives of different individual entities and personalities of what they believe to be right for them or others at the moment. So there is no perfection, there is no omnipotence. You can know many things, or you can be more aware of other individuals, other personalities, other entities. But just remember, there's never any such thing as being all-knowing or all-omnipotent to know everything that's happening in every part of the universe, because the universe, forget about the universe, man, just reality itself is always in a state of change, constant state of change. Even right now, I'm sitting in this room, I'm looking outside this window here. I'm in Japan, and you know, everything has the appearance of being the same. And I understand, you know, some people doing the same boring jobs, going to the same bars, taking the same train, but and the buildings obviously don't move, but they don't move, or do they? You know, the things that make up the building, the atoms and all these things, different particles, they're always in a constant state of movement and change. We just can't pick it up because of our limited perceptions of physical reality. Well, not mine, but if you learn to use your inner senses, you could pick up on these changes, and yeah, you could feel what's going on, man. It's a lot of stuff going on here, and even me, I mean, I'm sitting in this chair right now talking to y'all. You just see everyone who's watching me right now, right? Excuse me. Your point of focus is on me sitting in this chair. That's the only thing. Me here and the picture of Hades behind me. But there's so much happening within me, not just within my consciousness of traveling through other realities as I'm even talking to you, but then within the physical corporeal form of my body is changing at the same time. There's so many things, processes that are taking place right now that you can't see or you're completely unaware of. Even myself, I'm unaware of it. I don't have to regulate my own heartbeat or blood flow and all these things, how much air goes into my lungs and my liver, flushing my system out. All these things happen without my consent. I mean, of course, I'm powering it up as well through my own, because I create this physical body, but it has its own life of its own. It has its own motivational forces that keep it moving. If I had to take control of every little simple movement that takes place in my physical body, I probably would never get to move from one spot because the calculations would be very high. But don't let me get on a rant and wander off the topic. Where was I now? I got lost. Shit, I was talking about. Bouncing back to the purpose of all this stuff, man. Oh, I was on racism for a minute. Yeah. I think I already covered that, though. But, yeah, it doesn't pay to... It's just stupid. It's ridiculous, man. So what I wanted to say about race before I got back into this dream pit, it's really tough, man, because, like, yeah, I travel to all these places and I come back and, you know, you meet people and people want to know, oh, where you're from and what's your nationality. And for the sake of conversation, I mean, it's tough because I don't see myself, I'm a multidimensional being, man, and that's it. That's all it is. That's all I am. I'm a multidimensional being. I have an infinite number of personalities, species, races, ethnicities, nationalities, anything you want to call it. I have all these other identities and these other realities and an infinite realm of possibilities. And when I meet someone and I gotta talk to them, and they're like, what are you? And it's like, you know, I decided from now I'm gonna just say, fuck it, man. I'm gonna just start saying, yo, I'm a multidimensional being. And I know a lot of people, they won't be able to comprehend that. They won't be able to understand it. But I'm tired of saying, like, you know, oh, well, you know, my mom is black and, you know, my dad is, you know, Puerto Rican and this and that. And it's like, it's not about me looking down on race. And it's not about, oh, you're ashamed. You got to know where you come from, know your background and all that. But it's just like, I truly, it's not that I don't even believe that's what I am. I'm not. That's not what I am, man. I mean, black. I mean, what is black? Black is not even... I'm black. I mean, this iPad cover is black. So first of all, that doesn't apply to me. But it's just like, those are such limiting terms, man. And I got to the point now where I'm just like, fuck it, man. I'm going to just start saying the truth of what I am. It's, oh, man, where you from? I'm like, I'll break it down like this. I appreciate the background that I grew up in because that's the reality that I chose to be in, that I wanted to manifest myself in, right? And I appreciate the experience of growing up within, in this lifetime, in this reality. I appreciate the so-called, whatever you want to call it, black experience, African American, Afro American, all these fucking titles they threw out. I appreciate that experience, and I love every minute of it, even now. But I do realize and I do understand that's just one of my identities. So I can't attach myself to that too deeply. And this goes beyond anything talking about black power and all this shit. It's beyond that, man, because I have a much wider scope of reality. So quite naturally, I mean, I can associate better. Just say, if like I'm mixed, right? I'm half and half in this reality. That's what they would say to me. Like, oh, you're mixed, right? All right. If you want to use these limited terms, yes, I'm mixed. My mother's black, father is Puerto Rican. But me growing up, I grew up more towards the black side of my family, man. So that's more what I could associate with. And I could get along with anybody, any reality, any realm, because I'm multidimensional. But in this reality, as far as this reality goes, I would feel more of a connection to, say, well, it's not even about more connection towards black. It's just, you see how my thought processes are moving so fast. It's difficult for me to have this silly fucking conversation because it's like, there's nothing to justify, man. I just don't believe in it, I mean, and it's tough because I'm laughing right now, man, because it's like trying to argue somebody that you're human, right? Now, we're not human. We've covered that. I told you how many times we ain't human. But just for argument's sake, that's like trying to say, I'm a human. I am a human. Look at me. And you're trying to prove yourself that you're a human. I mean, how can you prove that you're a human? That's just what you are. For people who believe in that. And no matter how much you try to argue, prove it, I mean, how could you really prove it? You say, look, I got, arms, legs, 5 fingers, 5 toes on each one. It's like, so for me, it's like, I'm a multidimensional being. How can I prove that to anybody? I mean, I could talk all day, make 1,000 Seth Dark Arts videos, trying to say that I'm a multidimensional being, and people at the end of the day would still say, that nigga's just black. So it's like, there's nothing to prove, man. There's nothing to prove. This is just one of the identities I have adopted for my own personal reflections when I leave this place. And like I said, I love every minute of it, and it's cool. But the bottom line, to summarize what I'm saying right now, is this. I am a fucking multidimensional being. I can transcend, I have the ability to transcend time and space anytime I want, going into a meditation state. I have access to my abilities, not all of them, because as long as I'm still here in physical reality, there are going to be certain limitations until I get up out of here. But at the moment, present moment, and this moment point right now, I have access to more abilities than the other average Joe entity on the block has, because they simply have forgotten where they come from. So, and that's what it all comes down to, man. So bouncing back to what I was originally trying to say, the purpose of these videos have been to lead you back to yourself. So why all these videos have been on about dreams? Why? Because that's the only way to really lead you back to yourself. When you're not dreaming, and I'm not talking about just dreaming, because a lot of people just dream and that's all they do. When you're not studying your own subjective dream states, when you're not traveling to other realities, when you're not going within, there's always going to be problems, man. And that's why this reality right now, it seems so fucked up, and there's so much crazy shit going on because people have lost contact with themselves, man. They have completely manifested into a reality and have completely gone through a state of amnesia that most people don't snap up out of until they die. And a lot of people could argue, okay, well, what's the point? Because when we die, we're going to remember everything anyway. That's true on certain levels for some people, but not everybody, man. So a lot of people come here, they leave, And I got into that in another video already, but they manifest back into another reality similar to this one, or another limiting projection. Just because we're souls doesn't mean that we have a limited power, we have all these things, but it doesn't mean that when you leave this reality and have this so-called death, that you're going to suddenly become more enlightened and, have all this knowledge. You will cross over with the same limiting beliefs and won't be any smarter than you are here right now if you don't open up your mind and start using those inner senses. So that's why this place seems to be so crazy right now, man. All over the world, people are blowing shit up, bombing things. They just had a story over here in Japan where this 16-year-old girl, her friend, man, it was her friend. The 16-year-old girl was living alone. She invited her 15-year-old friend over and decapitated her, cut off her head, chopped off her arm, tried to dissect her, crazy shit. And when they interviewed her, why did you do this? She had the same comment that all the other young murderers over here said, I just wanted to kill somebody. Just wanted to cut somebody's head off. It's crazy because just last week I was talking to someone about a lot of murders in Japan. I said, man, have you realized that there's been a lot of murders in Japan recently with young people, killing people really gruesomely? And when they ask them why they do it, they all been saying, I just wanted to kill somebody. I just wanted to see what it felt like. And it's like, this all stems from them not having the proper guidance of people to teach them about who and what they are. So you have these entities coming into this reality system, and they don't understand their powers. They go through this phase of trying to figure out who and what they are. If there's no real guidance, they lean towards, things that could be what's what I'm looking for? Things that won't be beneficial to them. So if you have a young child that has no real guidance, they might start getting into, like for example, over here in Japan, anime, manga, it's Japanese comics, Japanese animation. A lot of that shit is real violent. Some of it's cool, but some of it's violent too. And if you're not really guiding them, they get into that whole world, and it takes a hold of their perceptions. So then they start to see reality through this very distorted these distorted lenses of what's going on, and their point of focus. And this is why you got crazy shit going on, man, where people want to decapitate people and stuff, man. So it all comes back to self, man. You don't know what you are, you're going to be trapped playing out, the nonsense. So let me see what else I got down here, man. Y'all know me. Yeah. So yeah, back to the dream deal. The purpose of this also has been, I've been trying to get all of you to start mapping your own inner realities. You are paving the way for your existence in what you would call the future. You're setting it all up right now. The present moment is your moment of power, right? So this moment right now, I'm sitting in this room, this moment that you're watching this video, this is your moment of power that you affect not only the present, but the past and the future as well. The past is always changing. You think the past is past and that's it and it's done. No, it's always changing based on your present thoughts right now. Future selves are teaching you what you're now learning, and then your past selves are waiting to learn what you're learning. And then it goes full circle, and every little thing changes, all these other realities and stuff. So, just to give you a little idea about what I'm talking about, in case anybody's lost, back in, just say 2000, I told you the story when I was like about 6 years old or something. I went to someone's house. There was a voice talking to me in the kitchen. I thought it was a cup. It wasn't the cup, because the cup had a smiley face on it saying, don't worry, be happy. Long story short, because I already got into another video, that was me talking to myself, projecting backwards into that time reality. That set the stage to open me up to these possibilities of other realities. Fast forward to 2005, I had my first international trip to come visit Japan. When I went back, not only did the trip alone open up my mind, I started writing, getting information coming in. The first thing I wrote down was, if I can remember correctly, it was like creating your own reality. You create your own reality. And it was a lot of others. I can't remember it right now. I got it at home in a book, but one of the main themes were you create your own reality. Fast forward, meaning from 2005 to a few years later, 2000, I don't know, just say a few years later, I got into the SETH material. SETH material, which is basically us, a portion of us that has personified itself into physical reality. What's the main theme of all of those books and that information? You create your own reality. So that was that information having a bleed through into that time frame, setting the stage for me to reach this point right now. So that's why I may have said this before, but in another video, certain questions accelerate within you the functions of a higher intellect. And what that means is the questions that you ask, depending on how you ask them, they open up portions of the brain and the mind, and they accelerate your thought processes, your consciousness development, and your level of power, depending on the questions you ask. This is why you see in the media and like the TV and all this shit, they never ask deep questions. They never talk about real shit. Because if you start talking about these things, it starts activating those codes within your DNA, and not just DNA, within your memory, your conscious memory, and your soul, deep within your soul, man. It starts opening up those codes. And you start accessing those multidimensional gateways into other realities. So this is why they stay away from topics such as dreams. I mean, don't you think it's weird that we're in 2014 and I've said this before in another video, like we went through our whole school lives, at least I have and most people I know, we went through our whole school lives from first grade all the way through university, if you went to university, and you've never heard one time anything about astral travel, lucid dreaming, the ability to project your consciousness outside of your body. I mean, that's fucking pretty important stuff to completely bypass and not tell us about. I mean, that has so many positive possibilities, probabilities, and implications for us to not hear that at all. I mean, it's pretty... Why? Why haven't we ever heard anything about that? I mean, my life would have been very different if I learned from the early stages, first grade, at least elementary school and up, about the ability to project my consciousness out of my body. Lucky for me, I got the power, baby. So I taught myself. Basically, my portions of myself were already open, so I found it out on my own. But a lot of people aren't that lucky, you know. So, which brings me to the next point. Excuse me, that I'm gonna make. Signposts. Signposts. When you go into these other realities, right? You're mapping out your inner realities. You're setting up signposts for yourself and for others. Every time I go into a reality and break new ground, 9 times out of 10, I'm not the first person to go there. Sometimes I am, but a lot of times, I mean, if I'm there and there's already things going on, a lot of times there were other entities that have arrived there. And with experience, you'll be able to determine the difference of what I'm talking about, when it's your own creations and when it's something of another level of nature. So like, just to give an example, like if you just watched a movie about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles one night, and then that night you go to bed and you have a dream that you're hanging out with the Ninja Turtles, you know that that's something that you've manifested because you watched it and now you manifested it. But when you go to bed one night and you project to some holy temple or type of pyramid type of deal thing or temple setting, and you have no interest in that kind of stuff, really, you don't even think about it, and suddenly you're in this highly detailed temple with hieroglyphics, there's somebody talking to you, they're giving you deep, deep information that's not coming from yourself, that you're not consciously aware of, then you know, all right. Even still then, it's like, okay, is this a portion of my higher consciousness, another portion, another probable reality that I'm in right now, another portion of myself, a future portion? There's so many endless questions. You have to determine with your own intuition what it is. But sometimes it's signposts set up. So if you see hieroglyphics, you can't think, oh, well, these are not official Egyptian or Kemet, hieroglyphics. These could be hieroglyphics left by other entities that have already crossed that plane of existence, and they kind of put their stamp there, that seal, as like a guide, a signpost saying, hey, look, we've crossed through here. They're already long gone. They've already been through there. They're in a completely other, out of your range of, how do I say it? As far as like space and distance, they're already way past when you get there. They're already gone. They've jumped across to a whole nother reality. So there's no point trying to find them, you know what I'm trying to say. But basically they put this seal there saying, hey, look, we were here. And this is to give you that reminder. And you do the same thing. When you go to other reality, you put your stamp, your seal, your energy into that reality, and you set the stage for others who will come through. So, yeah, signposts left by others. Now, a lot of times, jumping back now to this physical reality, there's a lot of signposts left here for us in this physical reality, for entities that have already come and gone. See, time, a lot of people think about time and space, right? And they're like, oh, well, the Sumerians were here at one point, and you got the Egyptian, you got all this bit. There's been other groups way before. I mean, yes, there's a lot of knowledge coming out of ancient Kemet / Egypt and the Sumerians and all this stuff. You got to remember, there was a whole lot of other things going on way before they even came. And as far as things that are being left behind for, I mean, a lot of things have been uncovered, haven't been uncovered yet. But when you think about Egypt and Kemet and all these things, I mean, those hieroglyphics, the temples, the pyramids, that stuff is there. We see it as ancient, it's old, they already passed and left. But no, what happened was those groups have moved on to other realities, and they left these signposts here. The pyramids, that's something written down here, but like the pyramids, the hieroglyphics, these giant the megalithic stones and all these things that we couldn't even lift or create now. Those are just signposts letting you know of the capabilities and the possibilities that were achieved during that history's official line of consciousness. And the fact that we can't achieve those things now, physically, with technology that we have now, is just a proof. It's kind of like a slap in the face saying, hey, you guys don't know shit. You don't know everything. Because if you can't do this, and you're calling us primitive from your so-called official timeline of consciousness, and you're looking back at us saying we're primitive, you can't even do this stuff. So who are the real primitives? You might have fancy iPads and all this stuff, but build a pyramid. Let's see you make a pyramid. So if you judge, what did I write down here, right? If you judge it, yeah, if you try to judge by today's standards, things that were done, like they say, okay, well, was it possible for them to build the pyramids because they had to have been moving stuff with ropes and using rivers and all that? You're judging this now based on today's standards. Because we can't do it, they couldn't have done it. And you're completely ignoring the fact that you were dealing with a different official line of consciousness at that time. They had abilities that they developed themselves. They have, like, just say for example, 3,000 years of research and knowledge going into dreams and other states and other body states of consciousness, projecting their consciousness. We don't. So what does that tell you? That tells you that something is missing. All these other cultures, if you look at them in the so-called past, they had a deep connection with self, deep connection with other realities, deep connection with other forces of nature. And when you look at the things that they produced, it was way beyond what we're making now or producing now. So you have to connect the line of consciousness that was going on during those times with the things that they were producing. Fast forward to where we're at right now, we don't have that deep connection with self or spirituality, consciousness, the ability to project out of our bodies, dream states, astral projection. We can't do shit. We can't do what they were doing. So it's just something for you to think about. So yeah, all those things were basically to remind you of the potentials that were achieved during that official timeline of consciousness, and to kind of give us a nudge. Hey man, wake the fuck up. I mean, question, why can't we make a pyramid right now? Why can't, I mean, you know, these are the things to think about. Let me see here. What you got here? So yeah, signposts. Now, a lot of things were left behind. Because of the way education and knowledge has been developed, we can't understand the signpost anymore. We've completely lost connection with the signpost. So when we see them, we just say, oh, it's just a bunch of fucking rocks with some, you know, scratches on them. That's not important. I need to get my paper. I need to get paid. And we completely lost contact with understanding what they were trying to tell us. When you look at the walls of Kemet and you see all these hieroglyphics, basically they were describing their access to other realities. And all those entities you see on the wall with Horus, Seth, Anubis, all these things, and people say that's definitely fantasy because there are no animal-headed people walking around. Yeah, not now. That's another story, man. It's a lot of stuff that was going down way back when. So, excuse me. Yeah. So, all right. Certain works. So if we can't understand the physical things that were left behind, this is why you have other ways of remembering. The best way, your own self-knowledge. This is why you have to write your stuff down. Your other portions of yourself, you have all this information already inside it. It's coded within you, within your soul. Besides DNA memory and all these things, accessing your DNA, you also have a soul memory, you have dream memory, you have all, you're multidimensional, man. So you have a whole access to a whole different sort, all types of information. And there's different history. If people think about history, you're thinking about, a lot of people think of just about the history of the world as a whole, this planet Earth, but you have the history of the dream realm within you. You have the history of the astral realms within you. You have the history of other planets within you. You have the history of all realities within you. And basically all you need to do is just focus your attention towards it. And when you do that, those things will start opening up and you will get access to it, to that information. But if you keep judging it based on today's standards of where you're at the present moment point, it won't make sense. You say, it's just imagination. It's just a lot of bullshit. You won't be able to decode it because you're too busy trying to make things fit in. Even worse with science and religion. That's the main reason people don't get shit anymore. They say, I got this deep memory, man. It was real deep. It was some hieroglyphics, but the Bible didn't say that this was the way. So, it can't be true. There you go. Or, you have another experience. Man, I projected out of my body. I was traveling. It was so real. But, man, science says it's not real. The Bible, the church, the Quran says the devil. And you lost already, man. I told you before, stop looking for other people to validate your outside, your other... Stop looking for others to validate your own subjective and objective experiences, man. That's the only thing you need is your own experiences. Because that's, at the end of the day, it's like this. People could tell us all day about this is how the universe was formed, quantum physics, theories, and all this shit. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. You could believe anything you want to believe because at the end of the day, that's just their opinion. Just like this is just my opinion. Only difference between them and me is that I'm telling you that this is what I've experienced on my journey, and I want you to go on your journeys and share what you've experienced. See, if enough people were sharing this stuff, right, we need to start making communities, man, and that's basically what I'm trying to do here, is we need to have communities of people not fighting each other, not battling, not people saying, this is the right way, you can't astral project like that, you can't go to the realms this way, you got to sit in this meditation pose, you got to do this asana, it's kundalini, it's chakras. That's all bullshit, man. What it comes down to is people need to go on their own subjective journeys and objective journeys, tell what they've experienced, and openly discuss it, and then we'll start seeing the similarities. We'll start finding the connection points that transcend time and space but meet up in the middle and see, all right, my experience was like this, yours was like that, but there was this similar theme within the middle. And then that's how you start getting to the heart of this shit, man. As long as everybody's trying to come out with their own way and say, this is the only way, it's got to be through the angel, it's got to be through the power of Christ, it's got to be through Papa Legba, it's got to be all these titles and stuff, man. It's like, you're never going to get it. So, yeah, we need to start making communities not being embarrassed and to openly discuss what our experiences are, because shit's happening. You look at YouTube, I'm not the only cat out here making videos. You got people all over the world coming out. A lot of people are just basically regurgitating the shit that they've already heard from other things. So they're like, oh yeah, you know, it's all about the chakra points, all about the Kundalini energy rising. And I'm not knocking anybody who says that stuff, but you know, not all of them, but a lot of people, they're basically just repeating what they read off the internet or something, man. And then they base their reality, their experience against that. And it's like, well, all right, am I doing the right meditation pose? Are my chakra points lined up? And fuck chakra points, man. It's all about what you got going on. Make up your own names. Make up your own stuff. It doesn't have to be chakra points. Fucking call it chula points or whatever you want to do it, man. It could be anything you want. I told you. We're the ancient nameless ones, man. At least I am anyway, and a lot of people. A lot of other entities out here. And the names are not important. The names are not important. Forget about the right meditation and how many chakra points you got to open in the third eye, pineal gland. I mean, those phrases are useful because it gives people a frame of reference what we're talking about. And I understand that. And if you want to use those terms, you use them to get your point across. Because some people, I mean, if I went around trying to bring people into this saying, look, man, I'm a fucking ancient nameless one, they won't understand what I'm talking about because they're not at that level yet. So I have to maybe use those terms and then gently kind of guide them away from it, which is my purpose in these videos. Am I a healer? I don't know. I mean, that's for other people to say. I'm healer, prophet, all this other shit. I mean, I don't go by none of those titles, but I understand that some people may be helped on the information that I put out. So I have a responsibility to not guide people in the wrong way and always guide them back to themselves. Guide all of you back to yourselves to realize that you have your own powers and abilities. So, what was I going to say? I got lost my train of thought. But yeah, all those titles, yeah, the purpose is, if you want to make videos and if you training people, if you feel everyone can't do this, but if you feel something pulling you towards, man, I need to start making videos, I need to start having seminars, I need to start talking to people about this, and you feel that you have the capabilities, your goal is to let people use if they believe in systems of belief, if they have systems of belief, you let them use the systems of belief, but let them understand that it's just that, a system of belief, and that they can use systems as they choose. And the goal is to gently guide them away from the belief system and wean them off of it so they can realize that the system is just a system of belief is this, that. It's just a belief. So guide them away from all beliefs and realize that they're multidimensional and they can access anything and create anything that they want. So that's the goal. And that's been my goal with these videos, basically, is to get people away from these hardcore systems of belief. Like I said, I'll say it once again, I'm not knocking anybody. If you want to believe in voodoo, magic, whatever name you want to give it, cool. Use voodoo, use magic, use witchcraft, Wicca, whatever you want to use. Just realize, though, there's your power giving these systems their strength. No system gives you your strength. The strength comes from individuals. If there's no individuals, there's no system. How can you have voodoo if there's nobody to practice voodoo? How can you have witchcraft if there's nobody there to practice witchcraft or any of these other things? It needs us. It needs our power to be activated. So what does that tell you right there? That tells you that we are the ones giving it the strength. And the system's getting its strength from us. So, yeah, use the system. Have fun. Fucking voodoo all day, man. Do it up. Have a party with it. Just remember, It's your power. It all comes back to you. It's all yours. It's all your power. Everything. And you just use these systems as you like. All right, let me see what else I got here, man. Don't want to go too long. I haven't made a 45-minute mark. I haven't made an hour video in a long time. Almost hitting an hour. Man, I'm hitting so many titles, things in here. I don't even know what the title is, man. But fuck it. So yeah, each personality is a representative of their own multidimensional kingdom. They represent the reality of their interdimensional selves. You're the physical manifestation, representative of your multidimensional kingdom. Everyone, if you want to think about kings and queens and royalty, every individual in this reality is their own king or queen. Everyone. You have your own interdimensional, multidimensional kingdom within you. When you go to sleep at night, well, let me rephrase that, there is no sleep. When you go to bed at night and go into your deep meditation trance state, you enter other realities. A lot of times you enter your own reality. You don't even realize you're creating all that stuff, man. You're making it. You're creating all of it. This is the power you have. And this is what a lot of people don't realize. If you go to bed tonight, I told you that video way back, I told about I manifested a Godzilla or something. When you go to bed at night and you manifest all this stuff, you wake up and say, oh man, it's fucking crazy, man. It's Freddy Krueger, Godzilla, Shaquille O'Neal. You're bringing up all these things. That's your power. You're so powerful that you were able to completely recreate an entire cast of characters that are already existing, and you manifested them yourself through your own power. And interacted with them, talked to them, probably had dinner, maybe even sex. I like sex. That's not important, but yeah, man, this is your power. That's how powerful you are. You're so powerful. You just close your eyes, block out physical reality for a little bit, and boom, you're manifesting anything that's imaginable. So now, I'm trying to see what I got. I don't want to get lost on this. The ability to manipulate the illusion of time and space. Why is all this stuff important too? Because it cuts down on a lot of stuff, man. Like, check this out. Why do we want things? I don't know if I got into it. If I did, I apologize, but I just say it again. Why do we actually want things, right? Like, if there's something new, like it could be anything, a bag, shoes, something, like, you start stressing. Oh man, I gotta get this new thing. I gotta get it. I gotta have it. I need it. Why? And then you work hard to get it. You bust your ass. You work overtime. But you gotta question, like, why do you really want this thing? Is it the process of trying to get it that gives you the satisfaction? Is it the process of trying to get it that satisfies you? Or is it actually having it, the item in your possession that satisfies you? Or is it something that it's going to give you that will satisfy you? Because the reason I say that is, a lot of times we want shit so bad and then we finally get it and then you get bored. How many people, how many entities have invested their time and energy spent trying to get something? They finally acquire it, said item, and then you lose interest in it. I've done it many times. But once I became aware and more deep aware of my multidimensionality, it cut down on me spending a lot of money on. To be honest, I really don't buy shit anymore. I don't really buy nothing. I mean, the most now is like clothes if I need it for work, try to look a little chill outside and stuff. But it ain't nothing going all crazy, because I'm already confident. So I look decent. I look good enough where I'm satisfied for me. But as far as blowing money on shit like video games and expensive clothes and all that, once you realize you're multidimensional, man, this shit, that's all an illusion, man. That's another entity trying to profit off of me by making some shit up. So this is what you got to do. I experienced this way back, man. It was like way, way back. I was still a heavy video gamer, right? I would go to the store. I noticed this many years ago. I would go to the store, right, for anything, but especially games. I'll pick up the box. I'll look at it. And I realized that the more I looked at it, the more interest I lost in it. And now that I understand more deeply, it's like I was focusing on my energy on this item. It's like, oh man, this game looks hot. This game looks hot. This shit is hot. This shit is hot. And I'm looking at it, and then I'm like, should I buy it? And the moment I said, should I buy it, that probability has already split off to the probability where I do buy it, and in that future, every time I went into this before, but every time you think of something, the moment you have a choice to make, the choices have already been made, and from that point, there's the present, the past, the future. It all ripples outward endlessly to its own official timeline of consciousness. So the moment I'm thinking about, should I buy this game, that probability already split off where I bought the game, and that future state is already kicked off where I bought the game, played it 100 times, now I'm fucking bored. That energy bleeds back through to my current moment point of reality in the so-called present, and now I'm getting the ripple effect of, oh shit, well, it's not that hot, because I've already played it in the future. You know what I'm trying to say? So when I do buy the game, if I do buy it, I'll get home, play it, and then I'm like, oh man, fuck, it's just kind of whack, man. And then I realize, that was the feeling I was getting back at the store. I was already tapping into that official line of consciousness probability that split off where I did buy it. Then I was tapping into that future moment point where I played it 100 times and it's boring, and it rippled backwards, and I was getting that effect. So if you can do that with a lot of things in life, you could save yourself a lot of time, stress, and emotional spent energy and shit, man. I project myself into every probability, not all the time, but many times, especially anything to do with a decision. I always project myself forward and see the outcome and say, all right. Now, I'm not saying I can see the future because it's always changing. Nothing's in stone, but I could get a pretty good feel. If you follow certain lines of probability, you can get pretty much a predictable outcome. So it's like, all right, I'm going to buy this game. What's going to happen after that? And I project, and it's like, all right, yeah, most likely I'm going to get bored. And I see that future. I'm like, fuck it, man. It ain't all that. And then at some point I do play it, maybe somebody else's house or a demo, and I'm like, I was right. It wasn't all that. This applies to people too. If you see a hot girl that you're interested, a hot, nice young lady that you're interested to, or a guy who's interested, but you're stressing it too much. Oh, I really want this person. Project, man. Go into that official timeline of consciousness. Project yourself, and see how will it turn out. Now you don't know exactly how it would turn out, but if you use your inner senses, you could cut down the level of you stressing about it, and you take it more with a stride and be like, all right, well, fuck it, man. If it's meant to be, I mean, if she like me, she like me. Well, if he's feeling me, he's feeling me. Yeah, but I'm not gonna sit here getting crazy about it and shit, So, yeah, why not? The bottom line is, I think I wrote something down. Why not just experience the feeling that you want to experience in your moment point? So it's like if you want to go on a trip, so I really want to go to Hawaii, man. I want to feel happy. Okay, why do you want to go to Hawaii? Because I want to feel good. I really want to feel good. Well, why can't you feel good right now? I need the sun. I need that. See, if you had access to your abilities to project your consciousness, you wouldn't be stressing it that much because you could have project yourself into that reality. Hey. Now, I'm not saying that, it's not nice to take a trip and nice to get away and nice to do things, but this is what you got to do. Just to finish up, I'll bring this up real quick. There was a time, right, me and my man back in New York when we was chilling together. We was younger, maybe, I don't know, could have been 18, 19, like that. We used to look at people going out to the clubs and chilling, big time ballers and driving cars and all this stuff. And what happened was, and at the time I wasn't aware of my powers then, but I started getting the feeling that we already did it. So we used to think about it so hard, like, oh man, these guys are balling, damn, they going to the club, oh, they got these girls, they got the rim, look at the rims on his car, all that type of nonsense. At some point, we started getting this kind of like stride, like, yeah, man, it was weird because we used to talk about it. We used to be like, damn, man, you don't feel that? I used to ask him, you don't feel that? He'd be like, yeah, man, it feels like we already did that shit already. Like, we already done the clubs. We already was, the ball and the rims. And it just felt like we already experienced it. And the truth is, we did. We did already experience. Because the moment we were stressing about that, we projected into a future timeline of consciousness where we actually directed our energies towards that lifestyle to get it, and we experienced it, and that experience was rippling backwards to us. So in that present moment. Anyway, I know I said a mouthful, and I went on and on about an endless list of things that I covered. But just to finish off, back to those hieroglyphics. Stop stressing about hieroglyphics and trying to read symbols and symbology and all this stuff. You have your own symbology within yourself. And if you want to talk about physical symbology within this reality, I think most people, most entities who believe they're people, don't even realize that you have your own hieroglyphics etched into the flesh of your own corporeal being. One of them is right here on your hand. You see that? This is my hieroglyphic. Or should I say these? These are my hieroglyphics. See that right there? These are the hieroglyphics of my own creation. Why do you think when you get into trouble, they want to take your fingerprints and they want to know DNA data banks and databases and all this shit? They want all your, DNA is basically a structure. It's like a hieroglyphic, but on another level. But as far as fingerprinting and all that stuff goes, this is your hieroglyphics. These are your hieroglyphics. Take time, man. Study yourself. Look at your own body. Look at your hand. I mean, have you ever really looked at your fingerprint? Like, do a fingerprint and look at it. It's a hieroglyphic. It's a multi-dimensional hieroglyphic. 10 times more advanced than what's fucking etched on the walls in any other civilizations. But just take the time and look at your own hands, and you can see that you have hieroglyphics for yourself. Everyone. This is why every person's in this reality has a completely different signature, fingerprint, thumbprint, handprint. No one is alike, because this is the physical representation markings of your soul. But hey, what do I know? I'm just a crazy guy living in Japan. But I'm not. I'm fucking multidimensional. But anyway, I gotta get out of here, man. I've been talking for a long time. I hope y'all enjoyed this video. I know I went on a lot of things, but yeah, just take heed to what I was saying, and if anyone wants to say anything, you hit me up. All right. Peace, love, and harmony, as always. I know the moment I shut this off, I'm gonna be like, damn, I forgot to say that. But I can't keep talking forever, so it has to end at some point. But just remember, nothing really ends. And when I do turn off this camera, there's another reality that splits off into a probability where I did continue to keep talking. Now see if you could tap into that reality to see what I was talking about. All right. Peace, love, and harmony as always. I love y'all, and get back at y'all later.